Gordon Allport, and why he was my favorite. Throughout the semester, we've seen psychology go through its ups and downs of not being taken as seriously as it could have potentially been. However, Allport helped make it mainstream and had it recognized by the general public. His hard work did several major things for the psychological community. 1, bring personality into the mainstream. 2, created personality theories. And 3, help make personality theories recognizable and welcomed by the public. Allport's scientific mind is one of the reasons I decided he was my favorite. In comparison to other psychologists before him, Allport clearly acknowledged that research and statistics must be proven and taken into consideration to make any clear conclusions before doing anything. Another thing that made me like Allport so much is that he argued against the universality of traits and personality. Rather, he stated that your personality is unique and every person is different in their own special ways. Allport talks about the uniqueness of personality, how we're shaped by both our genes and our environment. So, for example, I like to think about this as me being someone who is short and stubby from my genes, but has an outgoing personality from my environment. In comparison, someone in the same household, like my brother or sister, might not even be remotely the same as me. They could have a similar build but be quiet, or could have a completely different build and be just as outgoing. We're all unique. One of my favorite things about Allport, though, is that in comparison to other researchers such as Horney and Freud, his past did not shape and influence his research and theories. For example, in Horney and Freud's theories, they used their experiences in their childhoods to base their theories and concepts on, while Allport was well known for acknowledging that people could be separated from their past. We see this from his published work, Pattern Growth and Personality, when he examined 50 other patients and their personalities before examining himself and offering an analysis of his personality. While his past experiences didn't necessarily influence his research, it's clear that actually plays out in a series later on in life. In the theory of functional autonomy, it states that emotionally healthy adults aren't connected to their past experiences. I think this was one of the most interesting parts of Allport because he strove to be just like his older brother so much. He felt that he grew up in his shadow, but realistically, he pushed past that. He was the actual ideal example set of his theory because he didn't look past and he didn't look past his past. He ended up being a very memorable psychologist, one who we study today and one who's fair to say helped change history. He was ranked number 11 on the American Psychological Association's list of the most prominent psychologists in the 20th century. However, I did find one of the things I really liked about Allport was his dedication to research and making sure the audiences were able to see it and understand it. He published multiple works, The Nature of Prejudice and The Pattern of Growth in Personality, so people were able to understand themselves and each other better. His work was really simplistic and easy to understand, and I think that just shows that he cares about his readers and people being able to understand psychology. To me, that showed that he was a researcher and a psychologist who was more for the people rather than someone who was for the fame of it, like Freud. I think overall, what I liked about Allport was that he was the first psychologist we learned about who was just so universally different from the others. When you learned about him, you could tell that he cared about his patients and the practice of psychology and that he wanted to make things better. Learning about his passion and his theories was something I really loved, but also the fact that he was so different from everybody else. He wasn't a Freud worshiper, but rather clearly someone who knew that he had to set out on his own path to figure out things and how to make things better. My favorite quote from him was, "As the individual matures, the bond with the past is broken." And I think that just overall was his whole, what, Allport stood for.